I'm with Alex Shane, talking about the forthcoming European Uprising event. Alex, tell the viewers a little bit about it.
Well, the Uprising event's something that really is, for me, the combination of many factors that I felt needed to be brought together. The first one was that it's the November the 13th, which is the date we've decided to run, is the 5-year anniversary of Eddie Guerrero's death. And Eddie Guerrero, to me, is a monumental figure in my life, and I think also in British wrestling, and I'll explain a little bit why. I have a scar between my eyes from Eddie Guerrero, which came about on the Revival event, and I'm a big believer that if you need to see something clearly or need to understand something, your body will manifest it. I had a lump come up in my neck at a time when I needed to take a break from wrestling, and it was just fated that happened. I think it was the universe pulling me away from it. And when Eddie hit me with a chair between the eyes, which is a complete miscue, and I ended up having to get that stitched up, I think it's because I wasn't seeing things clearly, and I witnessed Eddie's passion, and that was just before I went back to WWE, and I just thought to myself, man, that guy's got it. And it's not until now I'm 30 I understand that passion, how he would sacrifice everything for pro wrestling. So when he died on November the 13th 2005, I just felt that it was strange for me because it was a terrible day for wrestling, but for me personally, I was running my biggest event at the time on that evening, and it was at the Coventry Sky Dome, and the WWE had actually, the rumour what I was told by actually Mick Foley, was that he was offered money, as was Matt Hardy was offered money, to pull off of that event. Now, I can't say whether that's true or not, but I mean, I don't think Mick would lie to me about it. And also, the WWE run the same building as me 7 days later, which is something they would never have done. So a small kid from a council estate running a wrestling show is now being threatened by a multi-billion-dollar corporation on the same night as one of their performers dies due to the lifestyle that he obviously lived to be able to perform at that level. And as a result, I feel that as much as it was nice to see his wife, Vicky Guerrero, on television as a character, I think when she started to kiss Edge using full tongues, I don't really want to see one of my heroes, a saint of wrestling's wife, being sort of prostituted on national television. I felt it was it was uncomfortable for me and a lot of viewers. So the aim of this is to really, we can't deal with the Eddie situation, but there's a lot of wrestlers in this country who have died, who are actually dying as we speak, because they've done a lot of damage to their bodies. So what we want to do is we want to showcase British wrestling, and we want to run an event where we don't charge the fans to get in. It's a recession. People don't have a lot of money. And, we're trying to raise awareness of wrestling. And I think the only way we can raise that awareness is to actually not charge them to come in. So here's the idea. British Uprising, which was our big show we used to run, was a real monumental thing. It was the first sort of super show in this country. And now this is European Uprising. The British industry's come together. Now we're going to get the European industry to come together. And that is a real adversary to the American scene. So it will be an FWA show from top to bottom. It will be all the big matches that we've been building up over the last nearly 18 months. And the audience are able to come in free of charge. All we ask is that if they like the show, they make a donation. It could be £1, it could be £10, whatever they feel they want to give to the trust fund that we're reopening. And this is a BWC trust fund for injured and retired wrestlers. 75% of the money in those donations will go to the trust fund, and 25% will go to the FWA. And the FWA is currently running at a major loss. Nobody takes expenses. Very few people take a wage. So really, it in itself is almost like a charity without a charity number, which is being run just to give the British wrestling scene some sort of global stage, I guess. So that's what's happening during the evening, that big show. We're looking, I can't say what venues we're talking to at the moment, but we're looking to do about 1,000-seat venue, so it'll be a big show for British wrestling. And then during the day, we're going to have the first ever official British Wrestling Hall of Fame Awards. And that Hall of Fame is going to be in conjunction with at least one national newspaper, possibly one national radio station, and several magazines. And we're actually going to give proper awards with a proper award ceremony to those people who really we feel have left their mark on British wrestling and deserve some sort of recognition. And we're hoping that this event, which will be a big, properly produced event, will really hope to raise the awareness of our domestic scene, which right there between the trust fund and the raising the awareness of our domestic scene is the FWA ticking two of the public business principles that we've put out. So I think it's going to be a huge event, and what we're hoping will happen is we're in talks with a couple of companies in the States about actually doing almost like Live Aid, but them doing a version of it in the States. So we'll have a British one, an American one. We'd love to have a Japanese company do the same thing. And what we would like to do is produce the biggest wrestling DVD ever, where all of these shows are produced on one disc, and all the proceeds goes to the individual trust funds, be it our one that's set up in the States. I'd like to work with Wrestlers Rescue. Hopefully someone from there is listening to this. I know they've had some problems at the moment. But if Wrestlers Rescue isn't going to be around, I believe there should be a trust fund set up in America for the injured. There's far more wrestlers dying in America right now, and it shouldn't be down. WWE has already proven that they don't really care about sorting that problem out. They don't really, once you're off their roster, you no longer exist to them. So we as individuals, we need to start looking after ourselves. The problem is that everybody's so quick to go, is it like the government? Everybody says all this stuff, oh, the government this and the government that, and I'm so annoyed, but nobody does anything about it. So that's what I don't even moan about it anymore. When people start moaning to me about the state of the world, I just say, well, what did you do in the last hour that made the world better? If you've not done anything in the last week that's made it better, then don't complain. So I can't change the world, I can change pro wrestling. So the idea of this event is to give the fans the best we possibly can for free. We are donating our bodies and our time to give back to wrestling. If they would like to donate £1 or £10, or when we opened the trust fund before, somebody put £20 in the donation box. So I believe this will be a big monumental event for British wrestling.
So Alex, how can the fans find out more about this event, and how can they contact you if they want to help?
If the best thing is to keep posted on the FWAUK.com site and Frontline. We do that every Thursday. We're going to start announcing more and more stuff. Obviously, the date is November the 13th. There's several venues we're talking to. We're about to sort of change the business strategy of FWA as regards to where we run around the country, and I can't really say any more at this point. But just keep watching Frontline. We've got quite a bit of time until the show. It's going to be heavily hyped, and if you buy wrestling magazines or newspapers, you won't be able to miss it. It's going to be a big thing. And on top of that, if you'd like to help, as you said, there are things that we need help with. I'd like somebody to run. I've spoke to the Barley family about getting them to run the trust fund. Of course, Nick Barley, their son, tragically in a wheelchair now as a result of a wrestling accident that happened last year. So we've spoken to them, but obviously their connection to wrestling is not as strong as it could be for obvious reasons. So we like to get people to come on board to help us with the admin, the postering, the flyering. We are basically, I see the FWA as a charity, because people say, well, who does your charity help? And I compare it to, say, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is a charity that if there's a terminally ill child, this charity allows this kid to go to Disneyland, or so he gets his last wish. Well, that's an awesome charity, absolutely awesome. But what I see with the FWA and the BWC and all these projects is there's 400, 500, 600 people in this country who currently now have a shot at living a life that they originally just thought, I'm never going to be a wrestler, I'll never be able to make it. We have over 60 wrestlers on our roster. We have over 400 students. Recently we did the British National Training Expo for the BWC. 100 students turned up from all different schools. They all sat together, had lunch together, trained together, and it was, I think we're doing something quite special. But this is a movement. It's not to me. It's we say it's a concept, not a company. And because it's a movement, we need help. So if you are watching, the best ways to contact me are easily alex@fwauk.com. I'll repeat that, it's alex@fwauk.com. Or you can find me on Facebook as well as Alex Shane. I'm on there.
Thank you, Alex. You've been watching the Grapple Group YouTube channel.
This is the resistance, and we need your help.